Okay, we're going to be working on the bearing design. Bearing design is located on page 10.5. That's chapter 10, page 5. I do apologize that this didn't copy very well. It's a little bit off kilter, but that's okay. It's certainly still quite readable. Now, this drawing has a section view, and what a section view does is it shows actually a cutting plane. So this line here is a cutting plane line, and these arrows tell us that we're essentially looking into this part in this direction. So it's as if our eyes are over here and we're looking in that way. Our eyes are looking in the same direction as the arrows, and this view is what our eyes would be seeing. The areas that are hatched with the diagonal lines are the areas that would be up against this physical line. Now, before we actually get to doing this cutting plane in this hatch drawing, we just need to create the drawing as a regular drawing. So let's just get started. So we're going to go into AutoCAD. You should open up open a new drawing using your A-size mechanical template that you should have created when we were working in chapter 8. Remember, you should never be drawing in the layout space, so make sure you go back to the model space before you start drawing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create some construction lines. So we're going to go into our set up our construction lines, and we're going to first create one construction line. And I'm just looking at kind of our area here. If 0 is down here, this part is approximately, let's see, it's about 3.5. It's about 6 inches high, so we should be up here somewhere. Oh, I want a construction line. I'm just going to put a construction line in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use offset to create a construction line that's 1.75 inches under this one and 1.75 inches above this one. And the reason for that, if we look here, we see that we're going to have a lot of circles here, and then we're going to have a lot of some circles here. These circles are separated by 3.5 inches. Half of 3.5 is 1.75. So the first line we put in was our middle line. Now we'll put in lines 1.75 above and below. So let's just shrink this down a little bit. Offset, set it up to 1.75. Enter. We select this and move down. Select this and move up. Okay. So in the center, we're going to have circles of 1.5 inches in diameter, 2 inches in diameter, and 2.5 inches in diameter. So 1.5, 2, and 2.5. So we're going to choose our circle diameter, and we want to make sure that we're snapping to 2D reference points. So we want to be able to snap to something here. And yeah, we can certainly snap right here. So we said 1.5. We want to first go into our object lines. I do have line weight on, so you'll be able to see this easier. $1.5, 2, and 2.5. Now, below, we're going to have circles of 1.5 for the outside, and then 3/8 and 5/8. So we should actually put in a construction line vertically to give us an alignment point. Put in a circle of 1.5 diameter. And again, we have to go back to our object lines. We put in a circle of 1.5 diameter. We can put in a circle of that. I chose radius there. Diameter 1.5. And then 3/8 and 5/8. So 1/8 is 0.125, so 3/8 is 0.375. And let me actually blow this up to make it easier to see. So 0.375. And then 5/8 would be 0.625. 0.625. Okay, so when we need to repeat this up here, we don't have to actually go and make the circles, though, because we can just copy and paste all this. So we can select these 3 circles, choose copy, copy from the midpoint, and then just move them up to the top. And that is done. Now from this point, we can start putting in tangent lines. So we choose line, tangent, choose this point, tangent, choose that point, and repeat. Line, tangent, over here, tangent, over here, escape, repeat. So we're doing line, tangent, start, tangent, end, escape, repeat line, tangent, click over here, tangent, click over there. Okay, so now that we have this, we can actually go ahead and cut away the portions of this circle that we don't need. So I believe we can trim using all of the tangent lines. Hit enter. We can delete this portion of the circle, and we can delete that portion of the circle. Now, something is wrong. Okay, if you see where I deleted an incorrect piece. I should have been deleting this circle. I deleted that one. So let's go back and do that again. So trim, we select these 4 pieces, enter, and we delete here, and we delete there. And then we hit escape. And then our print should look something like this. Now, at this point, we want to start actually drawing in the side view over here. And what we can do is let's move over and make a vertical line. We'll choose offset, make an offset of 5, copy this line and move it over there. And then we want to make another offset of 0.5, and then we're going to come back 0.5 inches from this line. So we'll click on this line and then move inward. And then finally from this line, we're going to do a final offset and come back in 2 inches. And we'll be using these as the guidelines to complete the drawing, to complete the side view. Now I know we still have some work to do over here, right? We still have this hole to put in. And we'll do that after we get that hole put in over here. Okay, so let's go back over to our drawing. Let's add some more construction lines, however. And those construction lines are going to be the construction lines at all of the features related to these circles that remain. So we're going to put it, we're going to do this in our construction layer. So we can put in a construction line here. Oops, sorry, repeat construction line. Construction line there. And there are lots of ways to do this. We can keep repeating. One way that's potentially a lot quicker to copy construction lines is to actually do this. We take this construction line and we select it. So now we have the construction line selected, and we want to copy it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to select its base point. So let's select the base point right here. So we're going to copy right along this axis. And we've already made a couple, so we don't want to put one there, but we do want to put one here. We want to put one here. We want to put one here. We want to put one here. Put one here. Put one here. Put one there. Put one here. Put one there. Put one there. Put one here. And put one there. You see how much quicker that was? Now we can actually go ahead, if we want to, and take this 3/8 inch hole and put construction lines for that. But let's actually skip that for now. Or do we want to do this? Yeah, we'll put it in. So 3/8, remember, is 0.375. So we want to take half of 3/8. I'm going to get my calculator out to make sure that I get this one right. So 0.375 divided by 2, 0.1875. So what we're going to do is we want to take another one of these construction lines. Yeah, we can't do a repeat copy selection because I haven't had anything copied yet. So I can select this, do a copy. Base point can be right in the center here. And here I can go up by 0.1875. Enter. And then from that point, I can actually go down Nope, actually it starts in the middle again. So I can go down by 0.1875. Enter. And that will correspond to exactly where the set screw hole is. And that's exactly what that hole is. So this is a bearing and it's holding something. This hole, at least most likely, is a hole for probably either a set screw or a pin that may be holding something else in. But so this is a hidden, these are hidden lines over here. So we could go ahead and put those hidden lines in right now. And why don't we just go ahead and do that? So we'll go over to hidden layer, come over here. We'll go to line, put that in, and then down here, construction line, put that in. Okay, so anyway, now that we have all of this done, and it looks like I forgot 2 additional construction lines at the very top and the very bottom, so we'll go ahead and add those in. Now that I have that done, we can actually start drawing the side view. So make sure you go into your object layer. You don't want to start this in the construction layer. And we're going to start right here. And we're really going to trace it out along these lines. So we start here, we go up, and we come up to this point. At this point, we have the bearing piece that sticks out. And that's going to come all the way up to here. We're going to come back to this level, go up to the top, over to here, and then all the way back down. Now we're also going to have a line that goes into the tangents, and there's another set of construction lines that I omitted. So let's go back to our construction line, because what happens is at the point where the tangents are here and here, there's a relief change on the outside. We stop being at the curve of the circle on the bottom, and we start adding in these 2 ears. So we're going to have a line. I need to go back to my object layer that comes in like this, and then on the other side, in the same manner, comes in like that. Now, this depth here, this 1/4 inch, this is going to be shown in hidden lines. So these will all be hidden lines here. So we're going to go in a 1/4 inch. And we'll have it at that 2-inch opening. So we can come back to our drawing. And with hidden lines, we start at this point. We go in by 0.25, and then we're going to come up to here, like so. The very inside circle then will have hidden lines that go completely through the part, like this. And then centered from here, and 1.25 centered in the drawing, and 1.25 inches. Let me come back to the drawing. 1.25 inches from this point, we're going to have this 3/8 of an inch hole, or this 0.375 inch hole. That is also hidden. At least right now it's hidden. Again, we're not making this drawing directly yet. We're doing a complete side view. And this is generally how you should do it. You shouldn't just automatically jump to a section view. Okay, so we're going to start here with a circle, and then not from that point, so we need to start over. From this point, we're going to move over by 1.25. And again, I'm tracking here. I haven't hit my mouse button yet. So I type 1.25, and then I can hit enter. And then my hole size will be 0.375. Enter. And that puts in my circle. Now, take another quick look. We see we have this cutout, and these will also be hidden in the side view drawing. And we can see the depth from here. The depth is 1/8 of an inch. So coming back here, we can start here. We start at this point. We start here. We move by 0.125, enter. And then we move all the way up to here, like so. Hit escape. And then we add the rest of the through hole, like that. And we do the same thing on the top part of the drawing. So we start here, we move in by 0.125. Oh, and I'm moving it at an angle, so I need to start over. 0.125, enter. And then we move all the way down to here and come back. And to complete it, do that. And then we do the same thing on the other side over here. Okay, so let's take a quick look, see what we're missing. At this point, we're only missing radius on these corners. So we need to put in a fillet, and that radius is 0.125. So we come over here and choose a fillet, come down, type R, space 0.125, enter. we have to do 2, so we can go type multiple, M for multiple, and we can click here and there, and here and there. And let's take a look. And I believe those are the only rounded corners. Yes, they are. So at this point, the side view drawing is done. I don't believe I've missed anything. Let me turn off these construction lines here. I guess I had to hit escape. We should put in our center lines. And so actually I guess we'll need the construction lines we'll need in order to get the center lines proper. So if we know that the width of this was 2.5 inches, we can start in this direction out by 3 inches. Not sure why we started over there. Let's try that again. We start from here. We're going to start out by 3 inches. And actually, we shouldn't start out by 3 inches because the width is, the diameter is 2.5. So the width is only 1.25. So we could do maybe 1.75. We start here, 1.75, hit enter, so that'll be our start point, and then we can move over by twice that, or 3.5, and that gives us that line. And actually we know this is 2.5 as well, so we could actually do the same thing over here. Or something very similar. So if this is actually the 2.5, or let's take a look. It's 2 inches. So we could do 2.5 total. We can start with a line, start at this point, move over by 0.25, and then back in this direction by 2.5. And that'll give us that. We could just add, and before we add anything, let's take a look at our dimension style. Modify. Let's put in center line. So we can put a center line for this guy. And we could actually take this line, copy it, move it up, move it down, and then stretch it a little. So we could shrink it by 0.25 on either side. Actually, and probably the easiest thing to do is to only stretch one and then copy the one that we stretched and put it up the other side. So now we have our center marks, we put in our center lines, should have another center line through these holes here. And again, we had a 0.25 inch extension, so we should maintain that. The thickness here was a 1/2 inch, so we'll want a 1 inch line there. So we can come back, start here, move out by 0.25. Oh, wrong line. Start here, move out by 0.25, and then make a 1 inch line. And then we could actually take this and copy it from that point and move it up. So now if we turn off our construction lines, we can see what we have, see what we're missing. Now, we probably should add a center line here just because it looks goofy. It looks like it's missing anything. Although it does turn out, we're going to overwrite that and we're not going to see it once we're done. And we don't so much really need to have the construction lines in to do that, because we can start directly at the center and we get a tracking line down. It'll be 1.375. Is that right? Well, what we can do is we can do this. We can pull it down to there and then extend it by 0.25, like so. And then do the same thing on the top. Bring it up to here and then extend it by 0.25 as well on the top as well. I guess in any event, it still looks a little bit strange, but this drawing is done at this point. And all we need to do now is the section view. Now, the way that we do the section view is that we're going to first take these hidden lines, and actually before you do the section view, this is very important. You should save a copy of what you have, because we're going to destroy this side view. So we're going to save this. Bearing design 1, we can come back to it if we need to. You can always undo, but again, sometimes you can potentially lose and undo. So you don't want to take that chance. So I always recommend that you save. Okay, so once you do that, what we can do is select all of this. And then after you do that, you can right click. And then you're going to use a feature we haven't used before. It's called Quick Select. So go to Quick Select. And then you're going to select and choose Layer. And then your layer equals set to Hidden. And then click OK. And what we've done there is we've made it very easy for us to select every single item on our hidden layer. What we're then going to do, which seems a little bit strange, which will seem a little bit strange to you for a second, but you'll see why it's going to be this way in a minute. We're going to take everything on the hidden layer and we are going to put it onto the object layer. So we're going to turn those hidden lines into object lines. So all we do is we come up here and we click object lines. And now everything that was previously hidden is now in object lines. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to delete these two extensions here. And the reason we delete these extensions is because when we do the cutaway, you don't see those. Those extensions are because of what happens here, the interface where this lip is going to meet this circle. And when you're doing a cutaway, you don't want to leave that as a hidden line. You just want to get rid of it. So we're going to delete those. Finally, all we have to do now is decide which areas are going to be actually shaded. And again, if you remember what I said earlier, areas that are shaded are the areas that would be on the edge of our cutting line. And I guess I did skip one step. We need to put in our cutting plane line. So I need to choose cutting plane line, and I need to make a line. And that line is just going to actually just parallel and go right over this center line. So this is why I was saying that center line isn't really that important, because we immediately basically overwrite it with this cutting plane line. Now the cutting plane line also has these leaders on them, so we need to add leaders. And the way we add leaders is the following: we come up here to leader, and in options we can choose the leader type. We want to have a straight leader. That's proper. We also want in leader anding or use landing. I believe this is supposed to be no. Let's see, leader type we've done. And no, we don't want a multi-leader, we want a single leader. Leader. And one more time in the options. Sorry, leader. Leader arrowhead first. No. So we don't change that. We don't want the leader arrowhead first. The reason is we're going to start here, and we're going to move the leader out like that. Now you can see two things. One is the leader's a little bit off, and we can adjust that by moving it over. And the other thing, which is a little bit strange, is the arrowhead on the leader. Until I blow it up, you don't really see it. Now, if I turn it to turn all my line weights off, then you actually see the arrowhead. But with the line weights on, the arrowhead looks a little too small. And we should probably check that at sort of this zoom level. But the arrowhead looks too small. So we really don't like that. So what we want to do is we want to select this leader and then go to properties, and that's just showing up on my other screen. So let me bring it back over here. And in leaders, let's take the arrowhead size and let's double it. So let's make it 0.36. We hit enter. And now you see we have a much bigger and more reasonable sized arrow. Now, just need to make sure that our leader actually connects. And again, there are other options can probably make that leader a little bit better. Oh, okay, there we go. Actually, there we go. That looks fine. Now we can do the same thing at the bottom, or alternatively, what we can do is we can select this, copy it, use at the copy point, choose this point here, and then simply move it right down to the end, to the bottom. And that will then give us our pair of leaders with good size arrowheads. Okay, so as I said, we need to select and decide which areas need to be hatched. So the hatched areas will be the areas that when we do the cut, they'll be physically up against the cutting line. And those areas will be this area here. These two areas will be holes, so they'll actually be spaces. So these areas will not be hatched. This area here, all of this in the middle, these will all be holes. This will be an indent, and this will be a hole right through the part. So none of that will be hatched. And then on the bottom, the same areas we discussed on the top. This area here and this area here. So how do we do a hatch? Well, up here is the hatch menu. So we click on hatch, and then that brings up all of this hatch formation block. We can choose whichever hatch we feel is best. I think this ANZ 131 is fine. And then all we do is we hover over the area that we want to hatch, and then we hit enter. So you can see as I hover over that area, it hatches it. If I like it, I hit enter. If I didn't like that hatch, I could choose this one. You can see that hatch is a little bit too spread out. If we had a bigger part, it probably wouldn't look so bad. But this hatch is definitely better. So we hover on that area, click our mouse button, hover on this area, click our mouse button, hover on this area, click our mouse button, and hover on that area and click our mouse button. And that's it. This is done except for the dimensioning. So at this point now we can go ahead and do the dimensioning. So we can first do the easy linear dimensions. If you notice, we're set up for fractional dimensions. And you see there's some weird dimensions. I haven't actually talked about what this is. This symbol here is a countersink. And that's what it is. It's basically a cutout so that the screw hole, the screw, or whatever holding device is going in here will actually go into it and potentially sit flush on the edge. And this is saying that hole happens to be 5/8 inches in diameter and then 1/8 inch deep. And that's where that 1/8 of an inch came from when we went and drew this. But let's do the easy dimensions first. So if we come back here, we go into dimensioning. Let's see. So we can dimension. Before we do dimensioning, Let's go to our dimension style, modify. Primary units is fractional. Let's see our precision. I believe we can use 1/8. Yeah, 1/8 is fine. That should be good. Close. So now we can dimension right off of these. And we should go into our dimension layer. Before I start dimensioning, one error that I have. I believe, and I have to check this for a second. Hang on. I believe I did not. We may have to add a hatch layer here, because I put the hatch in under the cutting plane. And I just want to confirm where it actually belongs. It doesn't appear. Yeah, so it looks like that's fine. Putting the hatch in the cutting plane layer appears correct. I don't see a separate hatch layer. And in the book it doesn't tell us to select a hatch layer. So this should be fine. And if we turn off the line weights, you can see how it looks a bit different. But we will keep line weights on for now. All right, so anyway, back to dimensioning. So we're on dimension layer. And we can choose to dimension directly off of our center lines. We don't have to go all the way back to the center of our part. So we can choose that. And then we can get our 2 inches and our 2.5 on the inside here. And our 1.5 on this side. So 1.5. Oh, excuse me. We don't do the 1.5 on this side. 2 and 2.5. You can see how these are quite close. And we may want to actually move this in a little bit. I'll do the same thing on this side. And of course these are diameters, so we need to modify this to %C. And we can actually move this in a hair so they're less likely to conflict. This one's out a little far, so we'll move that one in a little bit. Okay, so now let's see what else we have here. I'm actually a little bit surprised, and I'm wondering if I made a mistake in the cutting lines that I put in, but I'm sorry, in the construction lines that I put in. But it does actually show. It does actually show that I should only have 5 inches from here to there, which is correct. So this drawing is definitely a lot tighter than the drawing that they show here, and you can absolutely see that as you take a look at it. All right, so we have 2 inches and 1/4 inch on the bottom here. Let's go ahead and put those in. So we do our 1/4 inch. Now you have to be careful when you select something where there's a radius, because you have to make sure you don't choose the radius. If you choose a radius, you're going to get the wrong dimension. Oh, and actually the 1/2 inch is above, and the 1/4 inch on the side is here. So let's choose this in here, 1/4 inch, and here and there 2 inches. Come up to the top, and again you have to choose here, not on the radius. Alright, so come back here, we have this, we have that, we have this, we have that, we have this, we have that, we have that, we have to just put in this diameter. So we can just come over here and choose our circle, click on the outside edge, and pull it out. Now we're over to this side of the drawing, and we have the 2 times radius, the 3/4 inch radius. And this is definitely a bit confusing, the way they have the arrow here. And I think we'll see how we put it. I think it's easier to just leave it like that. Of course, we do need to come to the front and put the 2 times. But when you draw, to me, when you draw that when you have that line that goes into the center, it looks confusing. So I'm actually going to omit that. Sometimes it's better to not draw exactly what you see, but to actually improve it. So the 3.5 is there. Okay, so here we have to do this. The diameter 3/8. So the 3/8 is actually the inner hole. No, so now isn't this a little confusing? The 3/8 is the inner hole, but here it's dimensioned as the outer hole. So let's see, how are we going to do that? We're going to We're going to select it here. And then we're going to actually move it out. Which I believe we can do. Oh, maybe we can't do that. I thought that that was possible. I guess that's not possible. So since that's not possible, let's delete this dimension. We may have to just do an override here. Or we can actually do it this way. Instead of having two lines, we could all put it in, and we should put it all in as one. Now, to locate the symbols, so we should add here %% C3, actually not %C, yeah, %, we should add 3/8 counterbore 5/8 with a depth of 1 inch. So %C 3/8 and to find counterbore, if you go up here to symbols, you can choose other. And I'll be honest with you, the way I found this, quite simply, to search for it in Google. And that's what you need to do sometimes in order to find a symbol. So what you do is that gives you the character map, and you can type in whatever font you need to have. In this case, the font happens to be GDT. And that will allow you to find this symbol. And we can select it, copy, and then paste. I guess we need to kind of stretch this out. Five-eighths. And then also in that same font, so we go to symbol again, other, we also find the depth. Select that, copy that, the depth, and then the depth is 1/8. Okay, so everything's there. It's not yet in the right format, but we're getting close. So it's there, but it doesn't look so good. So what can we do? So if we stretch this out, I'm a little bit surprised. I don't know if me hitting the return. We basically just have to play with it to get what we want. There we go. Three-eighths counterbore. Now in this case, this is centered, and we may be able to move that so it moves over to, so it's closer to the leader. And I think the way to do, if we can do that, it would be through properties, under text, text position, vertical is centered. Where is text position horizontal? No, I don't see it. So given that, this is certainly fine. We could I think in dimension style we can change it. We can go to modify, text, fit, fine-tuning, place text manually. And I believe this lets us move. Oh, perhaps it doesn't. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this because I'm going to delete this. And redraw it. I'm going to redraw this dimension. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to look in dimension style one more time here. Text horizontal, text align with dimension line, ISO standard, text placement, centered, vertical centered, vertical above, vertical below. So there isn't much change left to right. Yeah, we certainly don't want right to left. Okay, so let's close and let's redraw this and see if this will come in properly. So so that's a radius dimension we want to. Five-eighths. I'm going to delete that. So we want the 3/8 first. Pull it down here, and if I double click on that, and then we can do percent C 3/8 counterbore 5/8 Let me move this down. All right, so all of this can go away. This can temporarily go away. That can go away. Backspace, backspace. And then after the 5/8, so if we hit return here, now it looks like it's going to come up very similar again. So after the 5/8, we want to add our symbol. Control V. Spread that out a little bit over here. 0.12. So not 0.125, but 1/8. All right, so that's not horrible. And we can play around with, again, we can also play around with that with our properties. So with, let's see, this text movement. And we should probably move this out of the way so we can actually see what happens when we make changes. So we don't see any change there. Move text, no leader. So we don't really want to do that. No, so it doesn't look like we see much of a change. In any event, that's perfectly fine. At this point, then, this drawing is done. I don't believe I've forgotten anything. We have 1, 2, 3 dimensions over here. Let's just confirm. 1, 2, 3 dimensions over here. I didn't put the text in for the all fillets and rounds are 1/8 of an inch. You can do that. You can add this section AA. You should also fill out in the layout, you should fill out the full layout sheet. Now with the layout sheet, remember you have to add the viewport. There's no viewport in here. So just a reminder to add the viewport. You can go to View, Viewports, New Viewport, Single, OK. We generally want snap turned off. Sorry, this one turned off. Put our box inside of the green, and it will put our part in. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. You should hopefully remember what I did wrong. We want to put the viewport in black in the viewport layer. So View, Viewport, New Viewport, Single, OK. Put the viewport in. We can click on the viewport, go to Properties, and then we have to check our scale. So in this case, take a look at our scale. It's 0.9950. So we can probably use, we can use a 1-to-1 scale, which works out quite nice. So now we have a 1-to-1 scale. You should fill out the rest of this table. So what? And one student asked me, what should you put here? It's a fair question. You should put Massasoit here. You should put the name of the drawing, so bearing design. Sheet. should be one of one since there's only one sheet. Date should be today's date. Drawing number is going to be blank. We don't have a specific drawing number. Scale should be 1:1 because the scale is 1 to 1. Drawn by should be your initials. Check by and approved by should just be left blank. At that point, you're completely done. I'm going to go ahead and just exit the selection of the viewport, but you should go ahead and save your file. I'm going to save this as my bearing design 2, so I still have bearing design 1. And that's the end of this video.